What is going on, everybody? Paul here, coming at you with the Crypto Coffee update. Feeling a lot better today, as you could tell, compared to the last video where I was feeling just decidedly under the weather. As you could tell, I'm probably still a little more scratchy than usual today, but we're pushing through regardless. And of course, I have my trusted bean juice to assist me. That should be Folger's new slogan, bean juice, it's what's for dinner. So join me for that simultaneous sip. Alright, trying to get all my goofballness out. After all, I had to mute it for last Crypto Coffee. Let's jump into what we have here. You can see CryptoPanic open in front of us. Why is that? Because it's my favorite news aggregation website for crypto. Keeps you up to date on everything going on. I know I mention them regularly, but it's where we got all but 2 articles today. So great stuff. Cheers to them. Keep up the great work, guys. Alright, so first article of the day, Swift is trialing a new payment system to combat and take on fintechs and blockchain tech. So that's a big bite to bite off, but that's something that, assumingly, if anybody can take it on, Swift can do it. That's because, as we discussed previously on this channel, Swift deals with interbank transaction finality and payment settlements, and this is huge. Central banks talking to central banks looks a lot different than what one may expect in terms of like a simple phone call or something. So the Argentinian central bank, central bank, talking to the Chilean central bank, both use a proprietary type of software in order to get that communication settled. And that looks a lot different than the Chilean central bank talking to, let's say, the Brazilian central bank. And that looks a lot different than the Brazilian central bank talking to the US central bank, etc. So homogenizing this communication, these metrics that are used in order to ensure transaction finality is huge. You can see here they are partnering with some huge companies such as JP Morgan's Interbank Information Network. And that's no surprise. After all, a lot of this stuff is currently done using what's called dark pools, which is just server frameworks set up between these banks, and that can lead to some undesirable outcomes in some situations. And this includes some banks maybe spoofing some data, maybe allowing their own bank to get data ever so slightly sooner than other banks, which of course can lead to preferred trade deals and that sort of thing, because information is key in this digital economy. But with that said, here's a quote from Swift themselves. Fully integrated with GPI payments, the service will facilitate real-time dynamic bank-to-bank interaction using APIs and improve the predictability and efficiency of international payments, and look at using predictive analytics. So a lot of these mechanisms that are being utilized by Swift were built out in some even in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We're talking almost half a century ago now for some of these. Now, of course, that's not all, and the majority are much more new and have been updated relatively consistently over time, but building a new system from the ground up to ensure interbank transaction finality and liquidity is huge, and Swift that's the group to do it. So cheers to them, best of luck. After all, this is really big stuff, and goes to show that while we're in this bear market, you can see 3,500, slightly above that, low below 3,300. Geez. It definitely doesn't mean that this kind of technology hasn't led to a huge outcropping of development and a mushrooming out of financial technology, which is amazing. Next up, we have Gazprom, which is the huge Russian gas and oil conglomerate that is announcing a launch of their own crypto trading services. Now, this isn't happening in Russia per se. It may allow Russians to interact with crypto. However, its Swiss division specifically is undertaking this endeavor. And this is really comes as no surprise, considering Switzerland has worked extremely hard to build themselves out as a crypto-preferred nation. In Zug, Switzerland specifically, there's huge amounts of adoption, there's huge amounts of use cases, and many crypto conferences go on there. The fact that Switzerland is a huge banking nation in and of itself to begin with, it comes as no surprise that they're focusing as well on the development of financial technology such as cryptocurrency, and you hear my throat starting to go like an old man. Let me get a sip of coffee. All right, thanks for bearing with me through that, guys. I got a little bit of scratchiness left, as I said. But with Gazprom building this out, it just goes to show that these large institutions are not taking their sights off cryptocurrency, and they're keeping their eye on the ball and batting and swinging when they need to during times when the price is depressed and the hype has died down, allowing them to discern a better notion as to how this technology may or may not be applicable to their own industries and business models. Next up, we have Ethereum and their scaling solution, Constantinople, coming out in mid-January 2019. Apparently, it may happen, it may not. This is because Ethereum takes things slow, steady, and assuredly, and that's something that I personally find very endearing. After all, there's a lot of stuff about when Moon, let me see that roadmap, what's coming up next, when are you going to get listed on this no-name exchange with spoofed liquidity? that doesn't get things done a lot of the times. Looking at you, Tron, things that get built out, things that are actually being developed from a technical level to ensure their robustness and their application or applicability, for the real world is critical. And this is something we've seen consistently from Ethereum. They plan to reduce miner rewards from 3 ETH to 2 ETH per block, which may well have a not depressive but inflative effect on the price action. Who knows? But suffice to say, they are eventually moving over from proof of work to proof of stake. This is progressive proof of work, or prog proof of work. And it has some unique components to it. It's not necessarily confirmed, but they're calling this rollout Ethereum 1x. Here's a quote from Swende. Sorry about your last name, Swende. No, it's not sorry about your last name. That was sorry about the potential butchering of your last name. I always try to get those names right. I'm a big stickler for that. After all, it's your name, dude. We are getting the options out there, and then make a decision later on that regarding prog POW. So they're really taking it, as said, one step at a time. Great stuff. Always good to see some developments from the Ethereum team. Some great technical conversations they have, guys. Worth checking out. And of course, all this below in the description, so you too can look behind me, get an idea of what's going on, and perhaps even watch some of the videos from these development conferences and developer conversations, and just get an idea as to what's going on, because it's some technical, heady stuff, and some of it even goes over just well over my head, because I'm not a programmer. So if any of you know, let me know below in the comments. All right, next up we got Coinbase continuing to explore support for new digital assets. This is a confluence I noticed just right off the bat reading this. You remember the G20 summit in Argentina? They use this same terminology, digital assets. And while Coinbase has called these newfangled tokens and coins, they've called them digital assets before, I really noticed this just due to the fact that, like I said, G20, they came out and said we're going to attempt to regulate these digital assets. So kind of a broad stroke of a brush, and it seems Coinbase is potentially following suit using that semantic accuracy. So this is something that historically in the space we haven't seen. The term cryptocurrencies, crypto, etc. is lobbed around with relative carelessness. So seeing some semantic accuracy become distilled from the litany of new language that has come out of this space is encouraging, at least from my perspective. But the meat of the matter is Coinbase is looking to explore is really non-committal, right? Listing more of these assets, and you can see a whole litany of them outlined here, including Cardano, Aragon, Civic, etc., etc. I'm not going to go through all of them, but as said, you can check out the link below in the description to get more information and read the entirety of the piece. Just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention so they're well aware of what's going on with the giant Coinbase. Next up, we have the $80 million ICO, TenX, which was a nice card. You were supposed to be able to use your card to pay with your crypto at any vendor around the world. Fantastic promises, and fantastic promises are really the mark of course, an individual who would be involved with the pyramid scheme. These things aren't mutually exclusive, but undelivered fantastic promises are definitely a factor in such schemes. And this is coming out of China. The founder, Julian Hosp, has been implicated in participating in a pyramid scheme. A bit different than multi-level marketing. Multi-level marketing derives a little bit of value, still 95 to 99% of people lose money on these sorts of things, from selling products and services. Now, a pyramid scheme derives all of its income from bringing on new members and is a fundamentally unsustainable venture. Can I get a BitConnect? Yeah, things like that. Well, here's Julian Haas talking about his wonderful scheme. Quote, "Never forget, it's not about telling the exact 100% truth. Already off to a great start. If you follow this method, you can earn incomes in an extent that's not imaginable to you at this moment." So promises that are just so grandiose that you have to get involved, right? You will never run out of context if you follow some guidelines. And there comes the psychological reassurance to assure you that you too can make $80 million if you just scam people. It's so easy, guys. Come on. That's some sarcasm, of course. This kind of thing is really disgusting. And the idea that Julian Haas would participate in this sort of thing, as well as create such a huge, lofty ICO that really has delivered virtually nothing, goes to show. And yeah, some people say, "Oh, I got the card. It was sent out." Great, where are you going to use it? I mean, Wavecrest Bank out of Gibraltar was the bank they were using, and that was subsequently shut down at the behest of Visa. So this kind of thing is not something you can just jump into and get done, lickety-split, no worries. You can't just uproot the entirety of global finance so simply. And to think otherwise really goes to show that this is the kind of person that would hold those kind of beliefs. It's not that easy. So with that said, moving on, little last piece of information for you. We're kind of running up on time here. Bitcoin SV, it's called Bitcoin Cash SV in this article, which perhaps attests to the just litany of information and confusion surrounding the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. Really what it was Bitcoin Cash, which is from the development branch Bitcoin ABC. And you have Bitcoin SV, which is a breakaway, a seemingly hostile takeover attempt by a prolific liar with a checkered past known as Craig Wright, and an underinformed billionaire who owns CoinGeek known as Calvin Ayre. These two guys, boneheads really, teamed up and decided that they're going to fork Bitcoin Cash because Craig Wright says that he's Satoshi, despite a 2011 blog post in which Craig Wright called Bitcoin Bitcoin, capital B, capital C, and not Bitcoin, as Satoshi Nakamoto outlined in his white paper. No idea if Craig Wright really is Satoshi and why he would change the spelling like that, but something just seems fishy to me. So, with that said, we're going to do a quick outline of what's going on here. Essentially, the zero confirmation transactions allow for a double spending attempt. Zero confirmation shouldn't allow for that. That's something that Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin ABC, Bitcoin Cash has proven before. It's something they could reasonably be able to do with little worry. However, the sloppy rollout of Bitcoin SV, assumingly by Craig Wright, who doesn't even know how to do his own hello world, as proven from the Twitter posts showing that he just copied and pasted it. Yeah, it definitely happens there. They did accidentally selfish mine on themselves when they forked, which is hilarious. So just goes to show this entire thing was rolled out in a very haphazard and uneducated way. Here's the Cult of Craig. It's a GitHub repository that just goes to show all the fake information that Craig Wright has put out about himself, considering he is a confidence man, and fake PGP keys, forged contacts and emails, fake threats, public key signings, etc., etc., etc. Basically what you would expect from a confidence man. And the fact that people, a very few real people, a lot of this is just botted accounts, etc., but real people who I've seen in the space kind of switch over to following in Craig's footsteps and just spouting nonsense, unsubstantiated claims about this, that, or the other, and using things like risk, finance, investment, knowledge, dedicated knowledge, just buzzwords basically, just stuff that doesn't actually deliver any kind of explanatory information to the individuals and inform them, kind of like what we're doing here, having a conversation. The individuals that follow in those footsteps seemingly lack confidence of their own and rather hook their cart to an individual who is proven to be a con man and realistically can't hold his own in a space like this, which is clearly evident via double spending and that kind of thing. So let me know what you think of this kind of thing below in the comments. Frankly, it kind of bums me out. Just seeing the level of support this kind of thing has gotten, especially with the disinformation campaigns surrounding Bitcoin Cash and the relative hostility that is perceived with. After all, it's just technology and rebranding and that sort of thing. So with that said, just let me know what you think in the comments, because after all, sharing is caring and knowledge is power, and you guys are some smart dudes. I talk to you all regularly. I know very well that you guys have a great head on your shoulders, heads on your shoulders. Hopefully you don't share one head. That'd be weird. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into the happenings for December 10th, Monday. Of which there are none. Literally couldn't find anything. I think with the holiday season coming up, people are kind of stepping back from conferences, doing some traveling, seeing the family and that sort of thing as the year draws to a close. However, for December 11th, Tuesday, there is Crypto BlockCon happening in Las Vegas and the Blockchain Special Event Conference happening in Seattle. And that's pretty much it. And that's it for this Crypto Coffee update. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Links below in the description, along with a list of B-list tokens, some of which are great, some of which, they look alright, but nonetheless try to keep you guys informed about the happenings in the space. So with that said, much love, guys. My name is Paul. We are Cryptide, and remember, the tide is rising, as is my health. Woo!